The Marino Show.
Hello everybody, welcome to The Marino Show. I'm here at Galaxy Art and Entertainment Gallery in North Austin with a very special guest, Ari Lehman, the original Jason Voorhees. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much, man.
So Ari,
Very happy to be here.
you're an icon in the horror world.
Oh,
you really are. I grew up watching the Friday the 13th films, especially the first one. Me and my dad used to watch these films all the time when I was growing up. And so for me, they have a special place in my heart, all of them. But especially the original, the OG Jason. Tell me how you got that part originally.
Wow. Well, that's a great question, you know. And you know, I like to say that I'm only as famous and the character is only as iconic as the fans of Jason Voorhees, who are so wonderfully dedicated, allow him to be and allow me to be, and us, if you include all the actors who have played Jason Voorhees, and there's quite a number of us. But of all of us, I am the first, and the very first, the most first, you might say, the firstest. And when I was a young man, I was trying to decide, do I want to be a musician? Do I want to be an actor? Of course, I found that my talents seemed to go more towards being a musician, but of course it's always attractive to be an actor. Oh, wow, I could be on a big screen and, you know, live the life of an actor, and what is that all about? So, and I was very good at doing musicals in school, you know, and doing plays at my school in Westport, Connecticut, okay, which was a very cultural place. So that's also where Sean Cunningham had his production team. And so they were doing at the time a bunch of comedies about sports. Like they were inspired by the Bad News Bears, okay? The Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau and Tatum O'Neal, I believe. And so that was all about a baseball team, a ragtag base. So the movie that I auditioned for was about soccer. And it was about a bunch of kids that play soccer. So it was called Manny's Orphans. It was about a ragtag bunch of orphans that win their orphanage back from the mafia in a soccer tournament. Okay, so it's like one of those kind of movies. You know, I managed to land the role of the best friend of the lead guy. The lead guy is trying to get pass his sister off as a guy to get in the orphanage, that kind of thing. I play Roger, the kid who's obsessed with girls, okay? And he's always reading Playboy magazine. He thinks he's a big stud anyway. So there's a bunch of jokes there. And it's a funny movie. But when Paramount Pictures got that, they said, hey, you know, nobody played soccer in America in 1978 or 79. So it was just, they didn't know where to go with that. Although it's a great little film, and they filmed part of it at Cosmos Stadium, and Werner Roth, the great soccer players in that, and several other soccer players from the New York Cosmos. But no, that wasn't good enough, and it was the first use of Steadicam in a feature film, which is so common nowadays. They probably have Steadicam for cell phones now. But my point being that it was a great little movie, and all this great stuff happened. They said, listen, which they often do, you've still got this much budget, you still got this much time, give us another movie. How about a horror film? They had remembered his association with the great film Last House on the Left. I mean, great in its sensationalism, and certainly a movie that has a certain ending scene that men can maybe never think of without a certain discomfort. But so he thought, because of the success of Halloween, he thought of this idea, Friday the 13th. And then Victor Miller created this storyline. So they said, okay, we need to have this little boy who's going to be in the lake. And sadly, he's going to drown. That was going to be the only appearance of Jason Voorhees in all of cinematic history, was going to be a little boy that drowns. And so they were going to choose Sean Cunningham's son, Noel. But his wife said, no way. He can't do that. So up steps the producer, Steve Miner. He says, what about Ari from Manny's Orphans? He's the right height. He could probably do it. And so they called me up, and I was there. I picked up the phone. They said, Ari, can you come down and do this? I said, yes, sure. Sean said, wait a second. Can you swim? Are you a good swimmer? I said, yes. He said, that's it. You got the part.
Wow. So originally it was just supposed to be the drowning scene, and then the part
Yeah, so I went home in the summer of 1979. In August, the movie had wrapped. It was done. I played a kid that drowns. This sucks, I thought. I went home. Movies. I think I want to be a musician, because you be in a movie and you have no control over such things.
Right.
You know, it was a great thing. Wonderful. Great experience. And the other thing I hasten to add is that the idea of you live and work together with a group of people for months. And then at a certain point when you're on the set, you literally live and eat and everyone's together. And then it's like a family. And then all of a sudden, the family's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and Tom Savini and Tasso Stavrakis, they were like my big brothers, literally. Because, you know, my parents are getting divorced and this and that. And so I created a surrogate family out of this. But no, so they were gone. But you know, that's what it's the experience of being in a movie every time. Now, so for me, okay, Sean calls me back up in August of 1979. And I'm like, well, what could this be? You know, at this point, I'm like, I miss everybody. I'm dead. I'm like, this just sucks, man. I don't want to be in movies. So I was really, really into music at this point already. A couple months later, and it was October, and he says, "We need you to come back to the set." And I was like, "What? I'm dead, man. I can't come back." He's like, "No, you get your revenge." He very wisely said. But when I got there, he hands me the script, and the script says, "Alice's Dream." Oh! It was like just an arrow to my heart. Alice, oh, you said I get my revenge. I blurted out, you know, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know. And Sean said, well, Ari, you know that no one can survive for 11 years underwater. But in my opinion, hey, you know, that was totally normal, and that could totally occur. So ultimately, this second scene that was shot in October, which became the scenario which everyone remembers, was not in the original script of Friday the 13th. And, you know, had this not occurred, of course, there'd be no Big Jason, because Jason's not a dream. Jason's real. I think that the fans kind of felt the same way as I did about Jason. They didn't think it was a figment of someone's imagination. They thought, oh, this is real. And
right.
This is, it's not a dream.
Did it
Like
take a
Freddy.
long time to shoot that scene?
Well, that's a great question. Of course, what you see here is the original version. Okay. This took about 4 hours every time to do. And of course, this took, again, about 4 hours every time to do. But in this case, you see this mud here, David. This mud is not CGI mud. This mud is mud.
Right.
Because back in those days, we wouldn't use CGI for mud. We would use mud. So Tom Savini said, here, go get a bucket of mud. And they mixed that up with his blood formula, which is very secret. And they would do one layer of blood formula and let that dry. And then they would put the latex and the mud together, and then more mud, and then, oh, it was gross. But I think it might be good for your skin. I don't know.
Yeah, probably is. So you do the film, and now we're all these years later, I believe 42 years later.
More, but yes.
Yeah,
yes.
more than that.
We don't have to.
And there's still this connection that fans have. You go everywhere to cons, and does it surprise you that people like myself are just like so enamored with, especially your character from the original?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised anymore, but I am absolutely pleased and flabbergasted and thrilled and gratified, I guess is the best way to put it. Because after so many years, of course, I hasten to point out, for the number of moments that I'm on the screen, if you were to divide that by the number of people that I've scared through the years, I think there's probably a world's record there somehow. But ultimately, no, it's the fans that when they saw that scene of little Jason, they basically forgot the whole movie's about Mom and Alice. And it's like, but no, they love, just like they love Jaws. In the 70s, we had all those movies with female-driven, very complex, The Exorcist and Carrie and Rosemary's Baby and whoa, oh, sin, what did I do wrong? But then all of a sudden Jaws is there, and you're just dinner. So I think that Jason is very similar to Jaws in the sense that it's just like, if you see Jason, you're dead. It's a force of nature. It's not like Michael Myers who sits on the couch of the therapist. There's none of that going on. And also there's a lot of naked counselors, which
which people like.
Yeah, it's a fun film.
Yeah.
It's scary fun, and it's a kind of film that people can enjoy together. And I think that that's what makes Friday the 13th so lasting, and hopefully, to continue on into the future.
Do you keep in touch with any of the actors or the, Tom Savini, anybody from the film? I know you see Adrian from time to time.
Well, in the sense that at times they'll say, oh, Ari, could you get a hold of so-and-so? Yes, but usually it's just I happen to, oh, Ari, we've flown you into such and such a place, and I get out of the taxi, and there's one of my dear friends from Friday the 13th, or from some of the other horror, iconic horror films, whether it's Nightmare on Elm Street series, or a Halloween series, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, or the Hellraiser series, being the most prominent. But there's many others, and I think that it's really bringing together a gathering place of personalities who stand outside the perhaps the more trodden, mainstream, conventional forms of entertainment. That it's just like people who love hot sauce, say the people who love hot sauce really love hot sauce, and oh my God, so why would you love hot sauce so much? It's burning your tongue. It's the same thing for horror movies. Horror movie fans, they love horror so much, and if you ask them why, there's no really, you can't really, why do you love it so much? I think there's different types of visceral responses to entertainment. I know, like for instance, when I was a little boy, my mother took me to the Museum of Modern Art, and they had Picasso's Guernica on the wall, the actual Guernica, which depicts the bombing of the city of Guernica in Spain. And there's a horse which is in agony, and its head is going up, and so as a child, I didn't know what to think, and I said to my mother, I was like 5, and there was all these people standing there, and I said, Mother, why is the horse laughing? And everyone was really quiet, and my mom said, well, Ari, I don't think the horse is laughing. And then it dawned on me that the horse was in great agony and terror, and I was so overwhelmed that as a little boy, I put my hands over my ears like this, and I turned around. But do you know what was on the other wall?
What was on the other wall?
Was Edvard Munch's The Scream. the actual painting of the stream staring right at me. And that was such, oh man, and I can't say that I didn't like the experience. I felt transported, and I felt that my mom had instead of protecting me from that experience and saying, you're too young to process this, she instead said, join all of us as we stand here and absorb the work of this great artist, Picasso. Now, I'm not saying that Friday the 13th is like the Guernica, but I am saying that the experience of being a horror fan is similar to what, little Ari Lehman had a taste of there. So I was indelibly marked. I went back, like when they now they have a Dante 360 Inferno experience, and now they have Rodin did this great gates of hell sculpture, these doorways, and I went in a train. I took myself I think I was still in junior high school. I said, I'm gonna go. I got to see that because I don't know. They're just, and something about those things, I guess, draw me in. I'll admit it. It's just that's how I feel. I love good horror that is thoughtful and causes us to kind of jars us out of the moment. And I think Friday the 13th is a little different in the sense that it's a little more of a fun horror movie where we can all get together and have fun, and so there you go.
We have to talk about your band, First Jason, because you're
you.
really rocking. I've watched your videos, heard your music. When did you form the band? How long have you been hitting the road? Because you've been going everywhere. You were in the UK recently too,
just
right?
last weekend we were in Manchester, England, and we got to play for about 2,500 people right after the great Tim Capello, the sexy sax man. Also there was Corey Taylor from Slipknot, and wow, what an amazing thing. And First Jason has been recently honored to open, well, first we opened at the Carolina Chainsaw Massacre for bands like Incantation and Nuclear Assault, Demolition Hammer, which was a huge experience for us. And then, we started to interact with the theatrical metal bands like Ice Nine Kills. So Ice Nine Kills had me sing a song on one of their songs I sing. So I invited Spencer to sing on one of my songs. That song is called The Scapegoat. So you can see the video for The Scapegoat on YouTube. First Jason, The Scapegoat. We're particularly proud of that song, and Spencer is in that. So what occurred with me was I was already, I decided to study jazz piano. So I was studying jazz piano for a long time, and what ended up happening was I got a scholarship and from Dr. Billy Taylor, who's a famous jazz educator. I ended up going to New York University studying jazz, but then I became a world music performer. Long story short, that's where I found work. That's where I came out of college. There was a thriving African, Latin, reggae, world music scene. So I got onto that scene, and I was actually eventually hired by Interscope Records and Tough Gone Records to tour all over the country, and I even got to tour to West Africa as a performer. And I'm in the midst of all of that, and somebody says to me, hey, did you sign this photo? And I said, what photo? And they said, this photo. Aren't you Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees? I said, oh yeah. But I never signed this photo. So he said, I just paid $50 for this on eBay. So I said, wow. And then in the course of events that occurred, I was invited to Fangoria Convention. And I looked at this new market. Frankly, world music had kind of died down at that point, at the end of the 90s. I was looking for different avenues. Where was I going to go? And this opportunity opened up. So I am very, very much in debt to the open-heartedness and open-earedness of the metal community and the punk community, giving me time to grow. The bass player from the band Macabre helped me a lot. One of the drummers who works with Cro-Mags helped me a lot. other bands from Chicago that helped me a lot, like Johnny Vomit and Maggot Twat and all these bands that just said, we like what Ari's doing, we're gonna give him a break and let's do shows together. And so now we're gonna get to open for Power Man 5000, that's in December. But the journey, okay, the main thing we do is we play in these little venues that are about 100 or 200, maybe 300 tops venues, and we work together with local horror metal bands, and it's like a mutual validation of sort. You know, they spend their whole lives with their tattoos and their haunted house and their hearses and their fans, and they got, you know, Jason tattoos, and everybody's, you know, so dedicated. So when we come together, it's like there's just a mini horror fest every time First Jason shows up, and we're just thrilled about that. Gosh, we're going to be at so many wonderful events. You know, everybody can check it out at firstjason.com. We're going to be performing at some big theaters next year, and it's just fantastic.
That's awesome.
We got a new song too called "Look What You Did," based on the words of Mama Voorhees, where she says in that scene, "Look what you did. Easier for you than it was for Jason. You never paid any attention." Yeah.
Do you have a video out for it too?
No, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
The video we have, the two videos we have for The Price of Peace and The Scapegoat, we're very proud of. Check those out. The next video for Look What You Did is going to be very provocative, and that's coming out soon. Yeah, I'm very excited about that one because we really draw upon the words of Mama Voorhees, who was brilliantly played by my friend Betsy Palmer as Pamela Voorhees.
Is there anything else you want to add or anything you want to say to the fans out there? Whether
Yeah,
of
you
your
gotta
music?
listen to the Marino Show. Check out the Marino Show, okay? And if you are coming to a First Jason show at any time, mention the Marino Show, and we'll give you something for free, okay? Because this guy right here, he's doing great stuff for the horror community and for your community.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. That was awesome. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. And a big thank you to Galaxy Art and Entertainment Gallery located here in Austin. They have really cool memorabilia from comic books, sci-fi films, horror films. Check them out by visiting the website address there on your screen. And now here is Ari Lehman's band, First Jason, with their video for Scapegoat.